Hey guys, Blake here with another video, and I've got another different sort of project on the go today, so let's jump straight into the video. Okay, so this is the project I've lined up for today. I just got this order of bromeliads and air plants, which we'll delve a bit deeper into. Got some sphagnum moss, some wire and string, and there's some super glue over here somewhere. Some super glue. Got a few pieces of driftwood and cholla wood, and a couple of little terrariums, and this is the other packet of sphagnum moss here. So getting ready to make a big mess in the kitchen. Gonna basically mount all these and we'll just make a bit of a terrarium, vivarium sort of setup today. So let's jump straight over to it. So first things first, it should be known that I have never done this before. I've just soaked this sphagnum moss in the water here. And in terms of the bromeliads, they're all a bit smaller, but I've heard that when you receive them, you just give them a good soaking for a little while and then make sure that all the water is off them before we sort of mount them and all that. So I've had them here soaking for about 10 minutes or so. I'm going to drain the water out and let them sort of air out a bit now. So we're familiar with epiphyte plants in the aquarium hobby, like with an Anubias, Bucephalandra and these sorts of plants. Well, these are another version, so this is a bromeliad here. This is one of the larger ones. Don't ask me what the names are, but as you can see here, we've got a bit of a stamen, or this could be considered the rhizome, and then these roots offshooting it. So the idea for this is I'm just going to make a little hole, stick this through, and that's how we're going to mount this onto the wood. This is the sort of mounting plate I'm going to use for the larger ones. I think it's a really nice piece actually. I don't think I just picked it up in a second-hand with a second-hand tank. So lots of little nooks and crannies I think we'll be able to mount it. And I'm basically going to start by mounting the biggest ones down the bottom, and then we'll fill it in with the smaller ones as we move up. So the very first step I'm going to do is figure out exactly where on this piece I'm going to mount this larger bromeliad, and that's where I'm going to drill a hole. So kind of like it as low to the bottom as I can. Or would it be better to have it up higher? Tricky decision. I actually think I like it up there. So I'm going to drill a hole basically where this other hole already exists, and that's how we're going to mount this bromeliad. Alright, so I've got the hole there now, which the rhizome is going to fit through perfectly. So the next step is just to get some of the damp sphagnum moss and place it around the root system here. And we're going to fix it in place just with some fishing line, maybe a little bit of super glue. So the theory here is that you want the roots directly up against the wood, because that is how it's going to mount itself to this piece. If you did put the sphagnum moss down first, then it would mount itself to the sphagnum moss, which of course is not really a permanent mounting or anything like that. So that's the theory. You want to go roots first and then sphagnum over the top. So I'm just going to pick up some of this damp sphagnum moss here now, place it over the top. I'll get you a better angle. So just for convenience, I might mount something else here, and then I'll just be able to wrap straight around the side. So I'll take another piece here. This one doesn't have the runner from the mother plant, so for this one I'm just going to hold it in place, place the sphagnum over the top and mount it that way. So I think that'll work out pretty nicely. So now it's just a matter of taking our fishing line here and wrapping it around, similar to the terror base video from yesterday. If you didn't catch that video, I'll place the link in the card above and you can check it out. Alright, so this is how it's looking so far. It is going to look a bit weird until this sphagnum settles in a bit more, isn't so brightly coloured and all that. But I think it's a pretty good start anyway. So now I think we should plant something down the front to cover over this sphagnum here, which is kind of the reverse of the plan that I had at first, but that's what happens, I guess, when you try things out for the first time. So I've got one more piece here which I quite like, so I might just plant this one just down here. This one doesn't have a runner as well, but I think we should be okay. Maybe for a bit of a different colour we can plant this one here as well. How are we going to put that one? I'd like it to be a bit more out to the side. You don't want the sphagnum to go too close to the actual leaves, because if it does get too wet in there, they will get waterlogged and the plant will die, so just be careful of that. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with how that's come up. Once again, I'll just get a bit crazy with the fishing line and we'll get it all secured. Okay, so I think that's all finished up now. I may attach some air plants later on. We'll just test out a few other little things we can do and see what's left over at the end. But I'm pretty happy with how that's looking so far. And this can easily be mounted on a wall, or I can just put it inside a fish tank or whatever. Not underwater obviously, but could run a waterfall down here through it, so long as the roots aren't going to get too damp and rot out. Okay, so the next thing I think we're going to try out is, I picked up this cheap terrarium just from Kmart, and I've got a few okay little pieces of wood here that will just fit inside, so I think it might be a cool idea to attach some of the smaller ones to this piece of wood, and yeah, we'll just do a pretty similar sort of thing, I guess. So I quite like this spiky type bromeliad here that I picked up, so I'm going to use this, and it has just got me there, so be a bit mindful of the spikes if you do pick up this actual variety. I'm not exactly sure, once again, the name or anything like that, but I think if we just have it a bit offset from the line of the driftwood, then it'll be beneficial in two ways. We will have more room to plant other things, and also it will just aesthetically look pretty good, I think. Might actually have an opportunity here to mount this one just off the side in the same area, so might give that a go for the 2-for-1 deal here. I've got these two attached now. I think it came up pretty well. This one here is a second one. It kind of looks the same color as the driftwood. I do have to be mindful not to make it too big so that it will actually fit in there, but we might just attach some air plants just up in the top area and call it a day on this one, I think. Okay, so I've just gone ahead. I did attach this other pink one because I thought it looked pretty nice and it would fill in the space, and I attached these two air plants here. Haven't used any sphagnum around the air plants because I think that would make the roots rot, and they just get a lot of their humidity from the air, so I think the process with those guys is you just take them off every now and then and give them a soak, but definitely let me know down in the comments if there's a better way to do things with the air plants. As I sort of said, this is the first time playing around with any of those things. So now I've got the difficult job here of trying to put it in this jar, so we'll see how we go. So there we go, that's it in the jar. I'm not actually sure if I'm thrilled with it in the jar or not. I think it might end up not being in the jar long term. We'll just keep it out displayed, a bit like the other board that we've made here, so I may have to set up something else to display these guys, but that's the idea in the jar at the moment. So what I've got left here, I've got 4 different types of air plants and 3 more bromeliads, so we might go ahead and make something else. Alright, so I did have one other idea. I've got this hanging pot here that I think looks quite nice. In the bottom here I've got some clay pebbles, like hydroponic pebbles, to get the soil to be well draining. Just got some organic potting mix here, and I'm just going to put on top of that some sphagnum moss, I guess. I'm really just winging it. I don't know if this is a good idea or a bad idea, but we're going to do it anyway. Theory being is that there'll be some nutrients, some moisture down here, and it'll also drain freely as well, so the roots aren't going to be rotting, you know, because they're sitting in stagnant water. That's the theory I'm going off anyway. Then on top of that, just going to put some basic gravel. Bit of a succulent garden sort of thing, I think. I'm just going to basically plant into these. Once again, these are air plants, so you don't want too much moisture around the base and stuff. And actually I did bring with me some of these offcuts of spider wood, so I might even just mount these guys on the spider wood. So there we go. We might even incorporate this, the one that I decided was too big for the terrarium. Just sort of sit it in place. We'll just sort of take this one. Maybe some planted around some sphagnum moss, who knows. Really just winging it here. But I don't see why that would be any different from mounting it on a bit of wood. Trying not to put it too close to the foliage of the plant. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I reckon that's starting to look pretty good. I will cover a lot of this sphagnum with some more of that gravel. And other than that, got a couple more air plants here, so might mount another one on this. Okay, so there we go. We've got a little bit of a succulent garden sort of looking thing, and I'm pretty happy with how that came out. I think it looks pretty cool, like a bit of a Jurassic Park sort of vibe to it. I'll just give it a little bit of a light spray down now, I think, and it should be all good to go. Alright, so there you have the final resting place for these guys. I think this was a pretty cool little project, so definitely recommend picking up some epiphyte plants such as Bromeliads and Tillandsias or air plants, and giving it a bit of a go for yourself if you want to create a bit of a Jurassic Park feeling sort of display for your aquarium. I will have to find a bit of a more optimal location for these guys, but that will be to come. So there you go guys, if you like this video, please like, subscribe and all that fun stuff, and tune in next week for when all these plants are dead. Thanks for watching.